welcome to this tutorial for PolyPin. In this tutorial we're going to be looking at the push integration for PolyPin. So PolyPin has been designed really to be used with pad controllers like push or launch pad, and the idea is that you play this sequencer. It's called PolyPin because it's inspired by Pinball, and it's a polyphonic rhythm machine, hence PolyPin. So the first thing we want to do on the make sure you're using the push version, and then in the menu here choose push. If you don't see your controller, just click the button and it will refresh the menu. Choose push, you should see a green light, and PolyPin has now taken over push controller. When we have a sequence running, what we should see is the bottom pad showing us every note that's being sent out of that particular sequencer, and also we have like a visual meter showing us a measure. So from here, here and back again, it's one measure, or in this case 16 steps of this sequencer, and this will change depending on how fast your sequencer is running or how many steps there are. So it's a nice visual way of seeing when a loop is finishing, if you like. Okay, so if you haven't already checked the other videos out, have a look at the sequencer videos to see how you set up the sequencers, and there's also an accelerators video which shows you how the accelerators work. On push then, we'll look at some of the features, how we actually play the sequencer. So the accelerators I've already covered in another video, but just quickly, these letters speed up or slow down a sequencer. Okay, if I want to stop a sequence, just hit the top button there. There's two ways of triggering a sequence. You can either hit the bottom pad. When you do this, this is going to be initially quantized to the rate of that sequencer. Now you can turn this off by clicking free, and it will let you start whenever you want, or turn quantize on so that it's snapped to 16th notes or whatever that setting is there. So this lets you play a bit more freely. If you would like a sequencer or multiple sequences all to come in at the correct time, you can use the top buttons to arm that particular sequence, and it will wait for the next bar to start the sequence. And this is handy if you want to trigger, say, 3 at the same time. At any point you can re-trigger a sequencer. So we have this one here with the snares running. And you can see that it's re-triggering the sequence. Again, this can be quantized or not. Other features for push: holding down shift changes the top track select buttons so that they are now controlling whether a sequence is looped or not. So if we turn loop off, by default everything is looped. It will only play one measure and then it stops. So this is similar to, I guess, how pinball works. Imagine that the pinball is coming back through and you're trying to keep it going. So the idea here is that you play the sequence and then keep re-triggering. So what you could have is maybe 4 or 5 sequences running all looped, and then a couple that are not looped, and it's going to mean you've got to actually play to re-trigger them, otherwise they stop playing. I think can be more interesting in a performance, I guess, when you're playing with the sequences. Let's turn loop back on. And then if you hold down the select button toggles the track state buttons again, and that determines whether the accelerator is locked or not. So if the accelerator is locked, we hit a pad once and it locks the accelerator. If we turn this off, the accelerator is now momentary, so you have to hold the pad down. You can turn snap off as well, so it doesn't wait for a bar. It's a quick way of increasing the speed or decreasing the speed of sequence. And then let it go back again. We can also control the rate of each sequencer, which is this here, by push. So you can choose the initial rate on the fly. And finally, if you turn lock off for the rate over here, the rate of this sequencer is now determined by MIDI, which means the harder you hit the bottom pad, the faster the sequencer will run. You have some choices as well, so you'll see that this menu becomes active when lock is turned off, and it's whether you want to force the rate to be either whole notes, triplets or dotted. At the moment it's set to all, which means it will go all the way through all the different, well, everything that's on the menu basically, based on your velocity. Or you could just choose whole notes, and that